I had a dream that my son took his life. That's how bad the dreams are. And it was one of those dreams where I sat up in bed. I sat on the end of the bed. I couldn't breathe. I had to catch my breath. I run into my son's room to see if he's still there. And it's like, and then when you realize it's just a dream, you're like, damn, like that was a bad one.
Yeah.
Do you guys still have the nightmares?
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Is today the day that your life's going to change forever? Are you prepared for things never to be the same? Will others around you recognize and accept the metamorphosis? We can spend our lives preparing, but the truth is, reactions can never be anticipated. We never know until we step out of the simulator and have our eyes opened by reality. We think we know what may not happen because what happens is what we didn't know. Experience is the only true instruction. Going through circumstances time and time again is what makes you an expert. The only way to know your capabilities and limitations is to put them into action. I'm Kevin Donaldson, always here with Mike Felice, and welcome to the Suffering Podcast. If you're a fan of overcoming adversity and overcoming suffering, then we're for you, because that's what we do here and that's the stories we highlight. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, please comment, ring the bell so you can get notified of all of our new content. Now you can join. Follow us on all social media so you can find out what we're up to. Gentlemen, this is the night. I want to thank you so much for coming in here, because on this episode, this being July 10th, the date of this recording, I really wanted to sit down and give everybody some details on an event that has changed my life, and I needed you two in here. Normally, in this date, Mike and I would sit and we'd have a conversation. Obviously, that can't happen this year. So this is a strange anniversary. This is obviously July 10th, 2013 was the anniversary of my shooting. Mike and I always leaned on each other on these dates. His was September 16th. Mine was July 10th, and we always made sure that we were there for one another. That's not happening this year, but I really do appreciate you guys coming in tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a lot to talk about here. We're going to give some details that have never been aired before, and we're going to really be able to get into the shooting itself. But before we do, let's give a big shout out to our marquee sponsor. That's Toyota of Hackensack. We don't trust anybody as police or podcasters, but we do trust Toyota Hackensack. So go to toyotahackensack.com and let them find you a car. So this week's social media question comes from one of our dear friends, and that's dear Chris. She's going to be very happy that hers made the cut this week. The other ones that were sent in this week on social media will eventually make the cut, because we got some good ones. So dear Chris writes, has your trauma caused you to become something of an empath? And the second part of that is, can you identify trauma even when it's become hidden? Mike?
Flynn?
You're going to punt on this one, huh?
What do you think, Mike? You think because of what you went through, you can identify, you have that feeling when somebody, oh yeah, they've been through some shit.
I would say so. I mean, based upon things I've experienced, you could just tell. You could feel it, on somebody else that's, suffering or, going through some things.
Well, they used to talk about with the Vietnam vets, go back to your military training. With the Vietnam vets used to have what they would refer to each other as like the thousand yard stare. So they were able to identify when somebody's really been in the shit or somebody just talks about being in the shit. Because you've run across those people too. Oh, I was this and this and this, and you're like, hey, you're full of shit. So can you identify, is there a particular part of the population that I can identify that in?
I mean, you could, there's distance. You can be around somebody, you can be around a veteran, and they'll just separate, while you're sitting having a conversation or at dinner or whatever it is, and you can just see them slowly just separate, and, they'll start thinking about things that, it's some of the things I used to do, kind of still do, but, I've used all the tools to try and, fix those things, but, yeah, I mean, there's many different signs, and obviously, any one of us, and even in our occupations, and not even on occupations, you could tell something that, somebody goes through, they can identify.
Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I see it, I think, with the law enforcement side, and for me, it strikes a chord whenever there's sort of an intersection between law enforcement and family trauma, right? So we see like family trauma. If I see somebody, like you said, the 1,000-yard stare, you can identify it immediately. You know, the walking wounded. And when I see people going into that point, I see the timeline for myself. I was like, I was there. And everything you think your problem is the worst problem that's ever been had, and you feel alone.
So are you looking at identifiers when you find that stuff, or is it a feeling? Because I think that's what Dear Chris is asking. Is it an empath is somebody who can feel other people's pain? You know, is that do you feel their pain, or are you going on certain identifiers, how they're acting, what they're saying, things like that?
It conjures up my own feelings, and I just, their pain is apparent, whether it's through the tone in their voice. You can see a slight tremble. You know, you can see people
Twitch of the face.
Yeah, or even the blankness. You know,
I was just this weekend, and it was something that both of us, you know, I went through, and you know, we had a little discussion. It was instant. I could tell. I'm like, wow.
I saw the blank look on your face when I mentioned the word empath.
Well, I'm going down these things. This is some big words here. 'Cause I took a break after the LSAT test. I kind of like shut my brain off.
Oh, yes, the LSAT test. That's going to make you empathetic to other lawyers.
if the vocabulary
Oh,
just,
boy.
whoop,
Yeah,
I'm done.
They're in for it.
It's really crazy when, you know, after my shooting, I think before my shooting too, I was always drawn to people who I could feel have been through something, who have been through some pain or have some pain that they're hiding below. To answer Chris's second part first, it's when I can't explain it. There's nothing to explain, but I'll talk to you for a moment and I'll just say, oh yeah, there's some shit behind there. I've seen it with guests in here. So guests will come in here and you know, we've talked about this where like, yeah, there's more to this story because you can feel that there's more to this story. And it's more about the things that they're not saying. You know, so what you don't say is just as important as what you do say. It speaks volumes about what's going on in your current life. So to answer Chris's questions, absolutely. Post-shooting, it has drawn me closer. I connect on a different level with people with trauma.
Yeah.
If your life was all, and let's face it, nobody's life is all rosy. But if your life was all rosy, I don't know if I have that much in common with you. I have to feel some pain. I have to feel some pain and know that you're human, because that's what the human experience is all about. It's about pain.
Yeah, those valleys. When you see somebody's been through not a bump in the road, but a deep, deep valley, and it's funny, even sitting around the table, like looking at each other's eyes. You know, we can.
I try not to look at your eyes because that's very
scary.
non-masculine.
It is, yeah. But you can see it. Like the eyes are the gateway to the soul, right? And even if you're laughing at one time, you can. There's something about the eyes when you look at somebody like this guy's been through some shit.
If I catch you staring at my eyes, Frank,
yeah,
we're gonna have a huge problem.
Well, you're talking about my paleness. You probably think I have pink eyes like an albino.
No, actually, what I said, I think your skin tone is LED.
Yeah, something like that. Translucent.
So, dear Chris, thank you for sending in that question. Keep sending in your questions, and we will try to get them on the air. And while you're at it, why don't you go over to 234 Franklin Avenue in Nutley, New Jersey. Go see Gus. Tell him the Suffering Podcast sent you, and you're going to have a great meal at Cubita Cafe. Some of the best food you ever can eat. He cooks everything really healthy, and I don't know whether that's by design or whether he just does that when I'm in there, but everything, it just never hurts my stomach. It's great food, it's good atmosphere. Gus is not in the food business, he's in the people business, and I guarantee if you go in there more than once, he's going to know your name because that's who he is. So go to 234 Franklin Avenue in Nutley, New Jersey. Go see Gus at Cubita Cafe. So guys, I couldn't do something like this without two people who were close to me. It's a very personal subject. And, you know, I lead up to this date every single year, and usually a week or two out, I just start having these awful, awful, awful nightmares. The nightmare, the one that is most memorable this year, rocked me hard. And it wasn't even about the shooting. It's kind of bringing up those hidden feelings that you've sort of tried to get past. And I'll tell everybody about it because it's god awful. I don't even like to speak it into existence, but I think I got to get it out. I had a dream that my son took his life. That's how bad the dreams are. And it was one of those dreams where I sat up in bed. I sat on the end of the bed. I couldn't breathe. I had to catch my breath. I run into my son's room to see if he's still there. And it's like, and then when you realize it's just a dream, you're like, damn, like that was a bad one.
Yeah.
Do you guys still have the nightmares?
I do.
Yeah.
You know, I immediately shut it off. I've taught myself, and you know, obviously. You know,
Well, when you wake up, one of those dreams wakes you and startles you awake, how long does it take you to realize that it's just a dream?
I mean, over time, over years, it got less and less. You know, it could take a while. You know, you just, you know, I try not to let it stay inside of me as much as, you know what I mean? It's, you know, you just try to think about positive things. You know, it could really, some of them could really, really, you know, take you down.
You know, and this is nothing new because I used to play cards with an older guy. He was 90, I think he was 93 when he passed. And his brother was jumped in on D-Day. And when he got home, anytime he lived in Jersey City, and anytime construction was going off in the background, they said they used to find him under his bed. You know, he would wake up from bed, or if there was a loud noise, or you know somebody lit a firecracker, he would jump out of bed, crawl under the bed, and they couldn't get him out. You know, immediately afterwards. Yeah. So that's, I mean, you're talking the 40s. So this is nothing new. This has been going on forever. And listen, I lament to think about what the guys in past wars before recorded this stuff was being identified. You know, we've had 400 and some odd years of peace in written history, and you know that means there's been a lot of wars, a lot of death, a lot of killing, a lot of trauma, and we're only now starting to find the tip of the iceberg. So it's that dream. God, if I never have anything like that again, I'd be real happy, because that dream shook me. I couldn't get back to sleep afterwards because I'm thinking about how just messed up that was. But it was more than a dream. It was the real feeling of the emptiness. Like, I remember saying to myself, "Hey, buddy, we had so much more stuff we weren't supposed to do." Obviously, it's a little bit of trauma transference on from what happened with Mike.
I was just going to say that.
You know, because that's how I feel with Mike. We have so much more stuff. I try to, with my kids anyway, I try to tell them, hey, listen, the best is yet to come. Even though you think good things are happening now and it's hard, sometimes it's difficult, the best really is yet to come. And I wish Mike would have seen that too, because, I mean, just look at this week. Podcast hit 3.5 million views. Yeah. 750,000 downloads. We just had the Star Ledger's about to put out an article for us. The NJ.com just put out the photo shoot. All these great things that are happening.
He would have been elated.
Yeah.
Elated over it.
He would have been crazy.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about, obviously, July 10th, 2013, and I do need two other cops in here to really get into some of the stuff. So what I'm going to ask you guys, this is kind of different. I'm going to kind of turn you guys into the host, because I've told the story so many times, but there might be holes in the story that you want to know, that you need to ask me while we're going through this stuff. So the gentleman, I'll give you a little backstory. The gentleman who did the shooting, his name was Anthony Vocatoro. Anthony Vocatoro is a resident of Florida. He's not the dentist that's in New Jersey, because there's another guy in New Jersey named Anthony Vocatoro. They're related. He was dating this girl in Roseland, New Jersey. They broke up for whatever reason. He sent her a picture 3 days prior, so on July 7th, sent her a picture with a Glock 9mm model, I think it's a 19, to his head, and it was put out over Trax. So Trax is kind of like an interdepartmental information system and I remember the picture very closely. He's got the gun to his head, and she put out a temporary restraining order on him. It was granted, it was never served. So that's the backstory with Anthony Vocatoro. We were working that night. We were working a pitman schedule, so we were on 12-hour schedules, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And it was one of those real slow nights. It's the dreaded Q word in police work. You know, everything happens on slow nights. It's just pop. You know, I had this little routine. First of all, our dispatchers, it was during a time when people were getting laid off. the people that got laid off in our department were our dispatchers. So officers had to sit at the desk, and we broke it up into 4-hour blocks. My block started at 11 o'clock. So was it? Yeah. So 11 o'clock, I was taking the mid shift, and I get my coffee. Me drove around a little bit. You try not to get involved in too much stuff. There were some dickheads out there that used to try to get involved right before their desk time because they didn't want to sit on the desk. That wasn't me. I didn't want to put that on anybody else. Go get my coffee, large coffee, 4 sweet and low cream. Most unhealthy thing you could ever have. And I'm pulling up next to my partner. It's just him and I on the road. There was a lieutenant who was the boss. He was in headquarters doing stupid shit that lieutenants do.
Hey, easy. Not all of them.
I used to bust Mike's balls about that too.
We need a supervisor, right?
Yeah, right. But they're in. So him and I, we got the road. We pull up next to each other, and we're like, I remember saying to him, God, I wish something would happen. Just an alarm call. Something get me out of the car. That's all I wanted.
Wow.
Just something.
Those words can
come back. Be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. The dreaded last words. And, we're car to car, what they call a police car 69. We talk for a little bit about nothing. We're right at the corner of Eagle Rock and Eisenhower. We're sitting in the Exxon gas station, for those of you who know the area. I take he takes a loop. He goes down Eisenhower Parkway, he takes a loop, and I'm going to do what we call our plaza check. So every night we had it was the west and the east zones.
just not to cut you off, but just what you're doing right now is how I know it's affected you, and the details that you're saying. It's just I got it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you. I can even tell you which the stores aren't there anymore.
So how many years later? Look.
Well, 11 years later, I can still tell you all the stores in the first plaza that I hit. So the first plaza was, I think they would call it. There was the Eagle Rock Commons Plaza, and then there was the West Plaza. There were 2 plazas in the West, and then the East Zone car would do the Center Plaza. That's what they would call it. And so I said, all right, I'm going to go do my plaza checks, and then I'm going to go in to relieve the desk. I go over there, and I pull. So I'm on Eagle Rock Avenue. I make a left turn in there, and as soon as I make the left turn in there, crack of the radio.
Yeah.
Head to number 43. I won't say the road. Head to number 43. Unknown emergency. Open 911 call. So we knew the address. We knew what was going on there. We knew the ongoing domestic issues. So it's like, you're quick turning around, put your lights on. It's 10:45 at night. It's not a whole lot of people on the road. And you're starved for information. My partner, who was going down Eisenhower Parkway and just making a loop, he was right behind me. So we go down Eagle Rock Avenue, make a left turn on Passaic Avenue, and we're heading up towards the address, doing about 70 miles an hour with lights, no sirens. We're calling into the desk, like, what do you got? Anything more? It's just, and I remember the officer on the desk said, I can hear arguing in the background. So what the woman did, she's very smart, what she did. She called 911 and dropped the phone.
Sure.
I go up the road, pull in. Now, this is the asshole move that I do. I pull right in front.
Boy.
Turn my lights up. Pull right in front. Because it's Roseland.
Right. What could happen?
There's nothing going on. It's easy. This is probably just a domestic. It's nothing. You go through 10 of them a night. Mm-hmm. Well, I pull up right in front of the car. My cell phone is in. I used to keep a pouch right on my duty bag. My phone's in there. I never take my phone with me. I figure if I need anything, I'll call over the radio. So we get out, and you walk up. There was 3 of us that responded. The lieutenant got his ass out of headquarters. And we're listening on the door, and we can hear arguing. We can hear a woman crying. We can hear a man yelling. Can't make out what they're saying. And it's townhouses, right? So it's an end unit, and there's a little porch, probably enough for like 2 chairs. Just a normal townhouse complex. So you do the cop flashlight on the door, right? Click, 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 and all we hear is, "Don't come in here." Guys yelling, "Don't come in here. Don't come in here, don't come in here." I'm like, fuck. Now what do we do? So there's 3 egresses to the house. There's your back through the sliding glass door, there's the garage, and there's the front door. Well, 2 officers, one of me included, we stay up at the front. My partner goes around the back. I run to my car real quick, and I get a Halligan bar. I'll never forget what a fucking Halligan bar is.
Now, just to quick ask you something. You're not thinking firearm at all at this point, right? You're thinking maybe a verbal, maybe a physical.
Yeah,
domestic
I'm actually
at
thinking
most?
physical. That's so the worst case scenario is physical.
Yeah.
Never thinking that in hindsight, I should have been more hyper aware of that because the guy did send a picture of a gun to his head.
Yeah, but
That wasn't. I wasn't. It was. I'm going to tell you right now. I was very complacent during the whole thing. I was very calm. I was like, all right, well, we have to go in there. We can hear them arguing. So while my partner's in the back, you just key up the radio to know it's time. And he's covering the back. The guy doesn't see him. Now, he sees Anthony Vocaturo point the gun towards the door because he kind of knows, like, we're coming in. So I take the Halligan bar and I start hammering with there's a flat end on the end of it.
yeah.
And I start hammering by the lock because all I'm trying to do is make a wedge so I can get the crowbar in there and pop the door. It's a steel door. And I've had this question too. It's like, why didn't you kick down the door?
Yeah. Ask any cop that's tried that, right? They got a shattered ankle and no entry.
It's actually kind of humorous to watch when you see somebody.
Bounced
just
off a couple myself.
Just kick the door in. Or, yeah, I'll shoulder it in, no problem.
Yeah.
It's a steel door. You're not doing it. So I start hammering. I get about 3 whacks in, and then pop, 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 4 shots. What had happened is when the guy had the gun at the door, so the first one through the door was going to get it. And then when he realized that everything's over, he points the gun towards this woman, and he's going to kill her. And that's when, as soon as he pointed the gun, my partner exchanged gunfire with him.
Now, I got to tell you just right off the bat, hearing a firearm outside of the range,
It's a little different.
it's a little different.
Very loud.
Yeah.
And it's just...
It's very distinct.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why, there's some assholes on 4th of July that'll shoot a gun in the air. You've heard it,
Sure.
and you know it. You're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't a firework.
Not with fireworks, yeah.
Somebody's shooting guns in the air. So he shoots, he ends up hitting him in the small, right in the left side of the small of the back. He hits him once. And I guess, I don't know what happens from there. All I'm worried about is, oh my God, I call out over the radio, shots fired, and I'm worried about my partner. I go running around because other units are starting to come up now. Like there was 2 or 3. So he just cover the front door. That's all you tell him. Just cover the front door. Make sure he doesn't come running out. And I go around the back, and and as I'm going around the back, a kid comes out. And I don't talk about this very much. It was the girl's son. And he's running. He's got his hands up. He's obviously in distress, but he's got his hands up. Like we didn't even know he was in there. And he's like, he's going to kill my mom. He's going to kill my mom. So, listen, being the detective that I am, I figured this is the victim's son.